Hey, Mike Burris here. Spirit Music Meetups. We're on the binary rhythms. Binary, everything divided by 2. And we talked a little bit about this on the main notation page. This goes into it in more depth. You see, you got a whole note. It's like a whole orange, an apple or whatever. And you cut it in 2. That's binary. And you end up with 2 half notes. And that's just the way it looks like, a whole cut in half. And so they put that little half cut right onto the note, and you end up with 2 halves. So that's it. So you get 2 beats. So we're going to say 4 beats. We're going to put 4 beats. You'll see why. In a whole note. 2 beats in the half note. And it's because we're going to put the quarter note has got a square box around it. So the quarter note is the beat. We're going to say it's the beat. It's the count. Now, that's not always the case in music. But for this chart, that's what it is. We're saying the quarter note is the beat. So if the quarter note is the beat, the half note gets 2 beats. Because 2 over 4, 2 quarter notes, 2 beats, 2 quarter notes, is inside the length of 1 half note. So think of it as whole note is 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Holds out. I hold my voice. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. So it's a very long note. And half note. 1, 2. It's long. It's half a measure long. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm counting the quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So most music, a lot of music, has the quarter note is the count or the beat. So this works out really well for a lot of music. Then notice that each quarter note can be divided into 2/8. They can connect those little flags, that one little flag, and connect those together, and you can see that below. You can see them connected together into 1 bar. 1 flag, 1 bar is an 8th note. Notice that an 8th note is 1/2 of a beat. Yeah, it is 1/2 of a quarter, because you cut the quarter note into 2 pieces. We're cutting everything into 2 pieces, 2s and 2s. And then you can cut each of those 8th notes into 2/16. The reason why they call them quarters eighths is because there's 4 quarters in a whole dollar. That whole looks like a whole, right? That whole note looks like a whole dollar. And there's 4 quarters in a dollar, because 4 over 4 is a fraction that comes out to 1. 4 over 4 is 1 whole dollar. But you can cut a quarter into 2/8. Well, we don't have 8th currency, but other countries do. So 2 over 8 is the same as 1 over 4. Now we count that instead of 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the quarter notes, 4 quarters in a dollar. We count each of those quarters 8th notes. We count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I can keep track of the quarters. 1 and, those are the 2/8. 2 and belong into the quarter 2. 3 and belongs into the 3. 4 and. So you could count quarters 1 and. Yeah, you could count them with 8th notes. Count the space. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Whoa. Lost it. Lost the whole thing. Let's see if it's still going on. Wow. It probably is still recording. Oh boy. Still recording? Well, we lost the tripod. Thanks for hanging in there. So we were talking about the quarter note being 1 and 2 and. We can count the quarter notes in 8s. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Well, we could take each of those eighth notes, 1 and 2, and we could divide those again into 2/16. See, everything's binary by twos. 1 E and So we could change 1 into 1 E. And that eighth note and into and See how that works? So now we have 1 E and instead of just 1 E and So we have 4/16 instead of 2/8. 1 E and instead of 1 E and instead of just 1 E and So again, you can count quarter notes, 1 E and 4/16. You can't count all that space. 1 E and 2 E and 1 and you can count 1 E and 2 E and 1 E and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. So you can count slower eighths or faster 16ths, but they all fill the space of a quarter note, 1 E and So you can play those 16ths, and they have 2 flags, and you can connect them together, and they'll have 2 bars, and you can see that below. So that's a great table to show you binary subdivision. See, you're dividing each note into pieces. You can count each note. You can count a whole note with 16 16th notes. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1, right? You can. There's 16 spaces in there that we can count. We can count half notes with 16ths. We can count anything with anything. See how that works? We can count half notes with quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 2 quarter notes in each half note. We can count the eighth notes in there. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so there's 4 eighth notes in a half note, right? 4 over 8 is 1 over 2. 1 E and 2 E and there's 8, right? 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and there's 8/16. 8 over 16 is the same as 1 over 2. So that helps you understand this chart that breaks everything down by twos. And underneath it, it just shows you these countings. A whole counted 1, 2, 3, 4. A half counted 1, 2, 3, 4. A quarter note 1, 2, 3, 4. Eighth note 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I usually use plus signs instead of an ampersand. And then 16 notes, 1 E and 2 E and 3 and 4 E and. And if you wanted to count 30-second notes, notice they only count the 16ths. 1 E, 1 da. You can say 1 da, E da, and da. 1 da, E da, and da. But you're only counting the 16th notes. Okay, 1 E and the right hand. 1 E and 1 E and So if my right hand is playing 16th notes, the left hand fills in to make their 30-second notes. And so that's how you count the 30-second notes. So I hope that helps. That helps you understand all this. So the next series of charts, show you all the combinations of 16th notes and 8th notes and 8th note rests, right? For every note, there's a value of a rest. It has, notice that there's a little squiggly for a quarter note rest, and then 1 flag is an 8th note rest, and 2 flags is a 16th note rest. It's just like the notes, of course, except for the quarter note. And I don't see any half note rests here, so you don't have to worry about those. But you can see there's a dot, and we talked about that on the main screen. A dot is just 3 of what you normally count. So if you count a whole 1, 2, 3, 4, a dot is half that value. Adding a half that value. So what's a half? What's half? of a whole. It's a half. So you normally count two, think about it, normally count two halves in a whole. 1, 2, 3, 4. But a dot adds one more. That's all I know. It just adds one more. So I always add just one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's what a dot would do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's how you get out to a 6 count. Put a dot on a whole. A dot on a half. Normally you count 2 quarters, right? 1, 2. 2 over 4 is equal to a half. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how you count a half, right? By quarters. 1, 2, 1, 2. But a dotted half is 1, 2, 3. Then the next one would be 4, 5, 6. See how that works? It's simple. So when you see a dotted quarter, how do you count a quarter? 1 and. That's the next level. 1 and, 2 and, 3 and, right? So you count 2 eighths. 2 over 8 is 1 over 4. Just add a dot. 1 and 2. Then the next one would be and 3 and. See, you're just adding and adding. So then how do you count normally eighth notes? 1 E and You're just counting 2 sixteenths. 2 over 16 is 1 over 8. 1 E and So now dotted eighth is 3 sixteenths. 1 E and. Or if it was on the E and Or if it was on the and 2. So it's just 3 sixteenths, but you count 1 E and 2 E and 3 and 4 and. So that's how you see these dotted eighth notes. So this just shows you all the ways that you can count these rhythms. And I'm going to stop right now because the next section talks about my rhythm charts, and we got to talk about that a little more detail. Thank you for your time. Put your ideas down below, and that'll help other people, okay?